What's up, everyone? Grayson the Dean 221 Nichols here on the Elite Rounders YouTube channel, as always. And today we are doing our weekly recap video of Poker After Dark. So this is the third episode of this series. We have again the Kung Fu Master WPT champion, just crazy dude overall, this Stapuchin fellow here. We got Ronnie Barta, who's a well-known grinder. Marle Cordero, a very well-known personality in poker, good player as well. And then Alex Ding, this guy who just plays really well. I mentioned in the past videos, definitely check him out. He's kind of crazy, but he just has such a good post-flop feel. Really dig watching his game. Um, this episode again had a lot of madness. Last week they had the deuce to seven game where everyone was just like overplaying deuce to seven like a crazy person. This week there was one cool hand in particular I wanted to talk about with you guys. In a little context, the hand prior, Stapuchin ran a pretty crazy bluff on Marle and showed the eight high in a big pot. So she said the next hand, she emphatically exclaimed, like, I'm coming after you on this one. And she absolutely did. And this hand was kind of weird. And I mentioned also in the past videos that these people have been showing their hands, especially Stapuchin in particular. And so it adds a really weird dynamic to the game. And in this hand in particular, it gets very weird on the turn. But beforehand, let's just kind of hop in. Um, Stabuchin goes ahead and straddles to 500 under the gun. Marle decides to open with king four suited to 1400. Definitely a marginal open, but like she said, she's coming after him after that last hand. So totally reasonable hand to open up in a short-handed game here. Stapuchin calls, of course, with his ace five defending from the big blind. And the flop comes out a whole bunch of nothing for both of them. Queen high with one club. Marle goes ahead and c-bets 1,000, which is great here, and Stapuchin calls with ace-5 off. No draw, no nothing. Don't know, again, what this guy's up to, but it's good for TV, so, it's interesting to watch. So he floats on the flop, actually having the best hand, surprisingly enough. The turn is where it gets really interesting, and Marle turns the flush draw, and it's a spot where I think you could reasonably check back to make sure you get to see your card on the river. But at the same time, she decides to bet 3,000, and I kind of dig her bet here, especially against someone like Stapuchin who's calling with just total, junk like ace high on the flop. It makes sense to barrel again when a lot of the range he's getting to the turn with is just so damn weak, right? So I like her bet, and this is where it gets like really, really weird. Stapuchin goes and shows his cards to Ronnie and the rest of the table. And you can almost see the smirk on Marley's face here. And the reason she does that is because right as he puts his cards down and then contemplates whether or not to call the 3,000 bet, she says, I saw your hand, Frank. And basically, this changes the whole dynamic of the hand because now he knows that she knows that he has bottom pair or just a pair of fives and that's it, right? So it's going to throw a total wrench into the dynamic going on to the river. So he calls the 3K. She exclaims, I've seen your hand. And we get to the river of the three of clubs where Marle just smashes the flush on the river. And when I was watching this, I'll be honest, I was kind of hoping she missed on the river and then was going to have to like go all in as a bluff. And, luckily for her, obviously she hit and she played this pretty awesome. What she ended up doing was she put Stapuchin all in here. And this is a really strange spot for him, like he's got to think to himself, okay, what on earth, like what does her range look like? And before we discuss the way to break down a river bet and how, the appropriate process to enter, I think the dynamic of her knowing his hand makes him more inclined to think that she is going to be bluffing more in this spot and that her smaller bets might be more value, right? So I really dig that she put them all in. I think that was a smart bet to go polarizing here to make it look like she might be bluffing. Now, aside from that stuff, let's just talk really quickly about what you should do when you face a big bet on the river, right? First question I ask myself is, what is the bottom of my opponent's value range look like, right? So like, what is the worst value hand that Marle would bet here? Would she play king queen this way? I don't know. I mean, it feels kind of thin for her to move all in with a king, just king queen in this spot on the river, especially when the flush gets their back door. So it is kind of a polarizing bet, like I would say that she's going to have something like maybe a boat, maybe aces, kings, backdoor flush, maybe ace three, which is unlikely too, but it's tough because if she can't, credibly rep king queen in this spot, it really makes her range again polarized, right? So I do think it's a tough spot. And, again, if I'm Frank, I'd say, what is the worst hand she bet for value? And if to me that's like ace queen plus, well, that means she could have ace queen, she could have kings, queens full, jacks full. Um, Fives full is unlikely based on his hand. Quad three is obviously unlikely. Backdoor flush, maybe something like a king jack of clubs would be reasonable. Ace king of clubs. So there are a number of value hands that she can credibly rep here. So after, ascertaining what the value range looks like, the next question I would ask is, what's their bluff range look like, right? Well, the types of hands that Marley might be bluffing here could be like ace king, king 10, 9 10, ace 10, all of which probably holding a naked club, so she's blocking flushes. So there are kind of a number of bluffs she could have here too. So I could see where Frank the gears start going in his head, and he's thinking this might make sense to call here. Sure enough, Frank does end up making the call, and Marley flips over the king high flush and she stacks him. And I think it was an awesome bet by her on the river. My first instinct was, oh, like, maybe just like milk the guy, bet like 4K, 3K, because he's going to call. But no, she went for the gusto, and I love her play in hindsight. I think it was completely spot on. That's why I don't play these cash games. And I really like how she was able to manipulate the situation and convince Frank that she had some bluffs in her range. Now, again, I can't help but say that I really do wish that river had been a blank to see if she would have still pulled the trigger and gone all in. I'm thinking she might have, but it looks like Frank would have called anyway, which would have been pretty gross. So pretty cool hand, really interesting. Like I think this goes without saying, but don't show your cards to people, guys. It's just never going to help you. Checking in the dark, showing your cards at the table. These are just, these are bullshit things. They're not going to help you. They're going to only hurt you. And then really talented players are going to use this stuff against you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm pretty stoked because tomorrow is the return of the duel. We got Helmuth and Negreanu going head to head again. So definitely check in on Thursday. We'll be reviewing that video. Really excited to watch those two battle again and hopefully get my money back from my student because I will definitely be betting on Mr. Negreanu to get the comeback win this time. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Best of luck on the felt this week. Check out our other free content at the Elite Rounders YouTube channel. Also, check me out on Twitch because I will be doing some upcoming lessons as well for everyone to watch. So keep an eye out for all the free content we have at Elite Rounders. And yeah, we will see you guys for the duel recap in 2 days. Talk to you Thursday. Peace, everyone.